And welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome once again to 2021, the year where everything costs a fortune. House prices have gone up enormously since last year, and so has the energy houses require. Car prices have gone up enormously since last year, and so has the petrol that they require. And it seems that watch prices have gone up considerably as well. There just doesn't seem to be the value in the market that you could find a couple of years back. That's not to say though that if you don't dig hard enough, you can't unearth the odd bargain, and I've found a few nuggets this year so far. My most recent pickup is this one. It's a Citizen NY0086, not a new watch by any stretch of the imagination. They launched this Coke colourway 2 years ago, I think, but the 0040, upon which this one is based, used to be the SKX's main rival, so it's positively prehistoric. Now, the RRP of these in Australia is $600, but you'd be crazy to pay that. Normally the prices float around the 300 to 400. I found this one for 199 Aussie dollars. That's less than 150 USD. What did I get for the cash? Well, I got a Citizen, a proper Japanese watch brand. It's a fully automatic movement with a day-date complication, great lume, ISO certified 200-meter dive watch on a metal bracelet. And because it's a Citizen, it comes with a 5-year warranty as well. Not bad for the price, eh? It's not perfect though. The bracelet would embarrass a Vostok, but if you can find one at a good price, you should definitely have a look at it. Let's flip the camera and do just that. All right, let's get on with it. While I'm unboxing this one, while I'm taking it out of its packaging, let's talk about today's thumbnail, shall we? Best diver's watch under 150 US dollars. I know what you're thinking, Jody, that is 50% clickbait and 50% hyperbole. Well, I reckon you're 50% right, but also 50% wrong. As I mentioned in the intro, and as it says there on the dial, this is ISO certified. This is a diver's watch with an apostrophe. That means it is rated to 200 meters and suitable for air diving. I haven't reviewed anything this cheap with ISO certification. The SKX was always the ISO go-to. Remember, the Komatsu doesn't have ISO certification. The last watch that I looked at that came close to this price was an EcoDrive Citizen, and even then it was more expensive than this one. If you know of a cheaper ISO certified dive watch, please leave me a comment. If you've bought one, please make me jealous, but I can't think of anything that comes close to this at under $150. 5-year warranty as noted. That's 5 more good reasons to buy a Citizen in today's market. Now, I've mentioned the SKX a couple of times already and the Orient Komatsu. I reckon those are this watch's natural rivals. I'm going to run you through the dimensions and the details of this one, then I'm going to tell you towards the end of the video how I think it stacks up against the SKX and the Komatsu, the relative merits of each of those watches. But first of all, let's focus on the Citizen, and let's introduce it by its full title, that being the NY0085-86E Pro Master. Dimensions 41.7mm in diameter. Now that is a nice size, I think. I'll show you on wrist later on. Similarly, 12.4mm thickness is not too bad for an ISO rated dive watch at this price. 47mm lug to lug is okay. 20mm lug width. Now I think that's a good choice rather than 22. And on the supplied Vostok alike bracelet, this one weighs in at 140 grams. So stainless steel case, stainless steel crown in the destro lefty position today down there at the 8 o'clock rather than the 3 or the 4. Stainless steel bezel, stainless steel case back. It is a stainless steel bracelet, however those are hollow end links and those are rolled links. Pretty nasty. It is a press clasp. Press clasp is a bit of a marvel though. I will come back to this a bit later. The finishing is pretty good for the money they're asking, although it is slightly unusual. High polish on the side, there's a circular brush to the upper lug surface, but the bezel is bead blasted. It's not super noticeable though that they're all a bunch of different finishes, and it's a nice crown. Guarded, but there's plenty of space there to get a good grip on it, and Pro Master logo. I always appreciate it when a company brands the crown even at this price. You're not getting sapphire crystal today though, only mineral crystal, and it is an old school 60 click unidirectional rotating bezel. I don't mind a 60 click bezel at all though. This one feels a little bit clunky, but pretty solid. Like I said, this one is a dinosaur. It is virtually prehistoric. This model series has been around for decades. The bracelet, on the other hand, feels like it's been around for centuries rather than just decades. The brushing on it is a little bit rough. At least that is an inverted mid-link, a female mid-link of the end link, so it's going to wear well on smaller wrists, but rolled links, yuck. Hair nippers, absolutely. The only watch that you should buy today with rolled links is a vintage watch, let's put it that way. The clasp, now the clasp I'm kind of torn with. It would be magnificent if it wasn't so awful. I like the fold over with the Citizen etched there, and it's got that kind of ProMaster logo. Again, looks like it's been embossed, pushed through from the back. Oh, it's cheap and nasty in operation though. Wafer thin because it's pressed. However, you see those two buttons down there? That is a diver's extension come kind of ratcheting micro adjust. And it's really slim. Like I said, if it wasn't so awful, it would be great, but it's not. It's awful. Screw-on stainless steel case back, helping with that 200 meters of water resistance and advertising the fact that it is a diver's 200 meters. Just printed on those so those markings will fade off with wear, and especially if you are prone to scratching the case back. Now, being a Citizen, this is bound to contain a Miyota, and there's a clue there on the case back. It contains the Miyota 8204. Now, I give the Miyota 8000 series a bit of a hard time purely because the rotor only winds in one direction, and you tend to get this endless spinning and a little bit of the signature Miyota rotor wobble, which sometimes you can hear, sometimes you can feel on wrist. Not too bad in a dive watch, though it tends to be in lighter, dressier, thinner watches that it's more noticeable. Can't complain about the figures though, very, very healthy, 0 beat error and a great amplitude. 21 jewel, this is a newer version, so not only does it hand wind, but it also hacks, really. That single direction winding is my only complaint. And I don't think it's a bad looking watch considering the age. I really like this colourway, I like the coke, I like the red, I like the deep gloss black dial. It's utilitarian, shall we say, in the way it looks, but then again, it's a dive watch. It's ISO rated, as I keep going on about, so it has to be functional. Now, those indices look applied. They are raised from the dial, but they are not applied. I think they're pushed through from the back. The tell comes with the Lume video a bit later on. The hands are much brighter than the indices, but it does look good. So it's a high gloss black dial, and I think that goes very well with the high polished silver surrounds to the indices and the high polished silver surrounds to the hands. Now, Citizen printed on, and the ProMaster logo automatic and that diver's 200 meters printed on above the baton at 6. It's a kind of funny looking index that looks like a pair of Y fronts up there at the 12 o'clock. Similarly unusual baton style towers with silver tips at the 6 and the 9 and circular indices everywhere else. I do like the day date complication though, I like that a lot. I like the fact that they've put a silver surround, I love the fact that they have colour match the day and the date wheel, and I really like the fact that they have managed to squeeze an extra little bit of Lume there to the right of it. A job well done. The handset's dead flat, very much in the Citizen mould. We have a lollipop counterbalance which is loomed to the second hand. Again, if it's ISO rated, it has to have a loomed second hand. Now there is a slightly angled Rehote chapter ring on this one with prominent 5-minute markers and dashes for the other minutes. And one little quirk I noticed about this particular watch. I told you about the movement and I told you it was a Miyota 8204. Have a look at the dial there. Have a look at what's printed just beneath that index at 6. It says 8203. So this must be an older dial when they had the non-hacking movements. Perhaps this will be a collector's item one day, perhaps it'll be worth $151. Okay, on to the Lume then. Initially, it looks really good. Citizen used their own proprietary Lume. It has that kind of BGW9 style pale blue glow. If I crank the speed up though, you'll see that the hands last far, far better than the indices or even the Lume pip. Lume pip, interestingly, is green, whereas the hands and the indices are blue. Hands are fantastic. That's how I know the indices are not applied, because if they were applied, they would look better than that at the end of 20 minutes. On wrist, I think it looks great and I think it wears really well. Arguably, it wears a little better than the SKX or the Komatsu. SKX is bigger and thicker. The Komatsu has got that slightly awkward 22mm lug width. I wish they had made that 20 rather than 22, but this thing's okay. And because of that cheap but effective micro adjust, you're going to get a good fit. but it is going to remind you that it's cheap and rolled every single time that you wear it. It's also going to take a few of your hairs as trophies along the way. Fantastically legible from the overhead shot, as you can see. I've got a 7-inch wrist for your reference, and I think the sizing on this one is just about perfect for this type of watch. Outside in natural light, it's still very legible thanks to the black dial and the white hands, and you can't really pick up this slightly unusual combination of finishes with that bead blasted bezel and brush lugs and high polished sides. On wrist, 47mm lug to lug is okay. It's probably proportionate with the diameter of the watch, if only the bracelet wasn't so rubbish. So the bracelet is going to be my first and my most fundamental complaint, my biggest moan and niggle with this one. It is just pretty nasty overall, in spite of the actually quite nice design of the clasp. They do this one on a rubber strap, which has those decompression markings on there, but it's not all that hard to swap it out for one of your own now, is it? There we are. That solved that problem in less than 1 minute. The rotor wobble of the 8000 series is something to bear in mind, but it's not that much of a problem in this case because it is fairly solid. Now, the crown down at 8 is not as intuitive or easy to use for right-handed people as it would be at 3 or 4. This one is for the lefties or for people who just fancy something a little bit different. It's not that difficult to get used to it once you've worked it out though. Pretty straightforward stuff really. So the best diver's watch under $150 then, possibly by default. It may well be the only watch in that category, but is it better than the SKX and the Komatsu? Well, no, I don't think it is better than either of those watches. The SKX has slightly better lume, a slightly better brand, and much more cachet as a model in its own right. And even though that Jubilee is slightly controversial, it's still miles better than the one in the Citizen. The 7S26 is nothing special though, and these being discontinued are now over $500. That's 2.5 times more than the Citizen. The Orient Komatsu is probably 50% more than the Citizen, but you do get the big bonus of sapphire crystal and a better hacking and hand winding day in-house Orient movement that does wind in 2 directions. Very basic case finish though, and that slightly awkward 22mm lug width means it doesn't wear as neatly as the Citizen does. So this Citizen certainly still makes a case for itself even against its 2 main rivals, especially if you can find it at a bargain basement price like I did. So there you have it, the best diver's watch under $150. Prove me wrong. If you're not convinced, check out the Orient Komatsu if you've got a little bit more money to spend. If you like Citizen but you can't be bothered with Auto, check out my recent review of their Eco Drive. Thanks for watching, see you soon.